There have been many extremely large explosions, accidental and intentional. Explosions, both natural and man-made, have caused awe and terror for centuries. In real life, there have been many kinds of explosions, and many are greater than the biggest ones in movies. These shocking explosions blew us away. So in this video, we're going to discuss top 10 massive explosions caught on camera. The video is going to be amazing, so make sure you stick to the end. Before starting the video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to never miss out on any of our videos. Number 10. Chernobyl. The Chernobyl disaster was a nuclear accident that occurred on 26 April 1986 at the number 4 reactor in the Chernobyl nuclear power plant near the city of Pripyat in the north of the Ukrainian SSR in the Soviet Union. It's considered the worst nuclear disaster in history both in cost and casualties. The Chernobyl disaster occurred when technicians at Nuclear Reactor Unit 4 attempted a poorly designed experiment. They shut down the reactor's power regulating system and its emergency safety systems, and they removed control rods from its core while allowing the reactor to run at 7% power. These mistakes, compounded by others, led to an uncontrolled chain reaction that resulted in several massive explosions. 2 Chernobyl plant workers died due to the explosion on the night of the accident, and a further 28 people died within a few weeks as a result of acute radiation syndrome. Number 9. Trinity Blast. The world's first nuclear explosion occurred on July 16, 1945, when a plutonium implosion device was tested at a site located 210 miles south of Los Alamos, New Mexico, on the barren plains of the Alamogordo bombing range known as the Jornada del Muerto. Trinity created an intensely hot and bright fireball that emitted thermal radiation capable of causing skin burns and igniting flammable material at a considerable distance. After the explosion, a destructive shock wave moved rapidly away from the fireball. It's that blistering radiation released in a reaction that takes about a millionth of a second to complete that makes the light so unearthly that gives it the strength to burn through photographic paper and wound human eyes. The heat is such that the air around it becomes luminous and incandescent and then opaque. For a moment, the brightness hides itself. Then the air expands outward, shedding its energy at the speed of sound, the blast wave that destroys houses, hospitals, schools, and cities. Number 8. China Warehouse Explosion. 2 massive explosions in the port of Tianjin, northern China, have killed more than 100 people, left hundreds more injured, and devastated large areas of the city. The explosion in the Binai New area on the city's coast happened at about 11:30 p.m. local time, with videos posted on social media showing a towering inferno above one of China's largest urban areas. Reuters cited a statement by the city's government that 50 people were confirmed dead, including 12 firefighters, and as many as 700 injured, over 71 seriously. The Beijing news and official outlet reported that authorities had lost contact with 36 firefighters on the scene. The National Earthquake Bureau said the first blast strength was equivalent to 3 tons of TNT, and the second was the equivalent of 21 tons. Number 7. Underwater Nuke Test. On 25 July 1946, the United States conducted the first ever underwater nuclear explosion. Test Baker, detonated at the Bikini Atoll in the Pacific Ocean, was the 5th of over 2,000 nuclear explosions conducted to date. Of these, only a few were underwater explosions, carried out mainly to assess the damage to ships and submarines. The majority of the tests, around 3/4, were conducted underground and the rest in the atmosphere, apart from a handful of nuclear tests in outer space, such as the 1962 Starfish Prime test. When Helen of Bikini exploded, it created a giant underwater bubble of hot gas. In seconds, the bubble hit the seafloor, where it blasted a crater 30 feet deep and at least 1,800 feet wide. At the same time, the surface of the lagoon erupted into a giant column of air, 2 million tons of it, which shot more than 5,000 feet into the air over an area a half-mile wide. In the seconds after the blast hit the surface, a cloud of radioactive condensation unfurled across the lagoon, hiding the column of water shooting upwards. Number 6. Carbide Pesticide Plant in Bhopal. Bhopal disaster, chemical leak in 1984 in the city of Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh State, India. At the time, it was called the worst industrial accident in history. This explosion released at least 30 tons of a highly toxic gas called methyl isocyanate, as well as a number of other poisonous gases. The pesticide plant was surrounded by shanty towns, leading to more than 600,000 people being exposed to the deadly gas cloud that night. The gases stayed low to the ground, causing the victims' throats and eyes to burn, inducing nausea and many deaths. Since the disaster, India has experienced rapid industrialization. While some positive changes in government policy and behavior of a few industries have taken place, major threats to the environment from rapid and poorly regulated industrial growth remain. Widespread environmental degradation with significant adverse human health consequences continues to occur throughout India. Number 5. Mount St. Helens Eruption. On May 18, 1980, Mount St. Helens underwent a catastrophic and deadly eruption, triggering the largest landslide ever recorded. Earlier in the year, thousands of small earthquakes, venting steam, and a growing bulge protruding 450 feet 140 meters indicated that magma was rising in the volcano. On the morning of the now historic eruption, a 5.2 magnitude earthquake triggered the sequence of events that would be life-altering to many in the area. The blast raged with wind speeds reaching 200 to 250 miles per hour, 320 to 400 kilometers per hour, at temperatures of 680 degrees Fahrenheit, 360 degrees Celsius, flattening and scorching trees. For more than 9 hours after the lateral blast, Mount St. Helens gushed an ash plume that reached 15 miles high into the atmosphere and in 15 days circled the globe. Deadly pyroclastic flows, at least 1300 degrees Fahrenheit, 704 degrees Celsius, spewed from the crater and covered 6 square miles, 15 square kilometers, under feet of choking pumice. Number 4. Fertilizer plant explosion in Texas. On April 16, 1947, a ship loaded with ammonium nitrate docked at the port of Texas City erupted in flames, causing a massive explosion that killed approximately 576 people, according to the Texas State Historical Association. It was the worst industrial accident in U.S. history. A day later, it took the descriptive skills of survivors and emergency workers to get a sense of the true scope of the devastation. The authorities prohibited anyone not involved in the search and rescue effort from entering the area around the plant and even put a no-fly zone restriction on the airspace overhead. But what became clear was that the explosion had destroyed a significant piece of a small town in the center of Texas, damaging up to 75 homes and setting off an extensive, meticulous search for survivors in the rubble of the plant and the surrounding buildings. Number 3. Tsar Bomba. On 30th October 1961, the largest nuclear weapon ever constructed was set off over Novaya Zemlya island in the Russian Arctic Sea. The Soviet Tsar Bomba had a yield of 50 megatons, or the power of around 3,800 Hiroshima bombs detonated simultaneously. The explosion's shockwave caused the plane to instantly lose 1 kilometer of altitude, but it landed safely nonetheless. Although the Tsar Bomba was detonated 4 kilometers above the ground, a seismic shock was equivalent to an earthquake of over 5 on the Richter scale was measured around the world. The mushroom cloud reached a height of 60 kilometers. Third-degree burns were possible at a distance of hundreds of kilometers. Number 2. Beirut Blast. The blast that devastated large parts of Beirut in August was one of the biggest non-nuclear explosions in history, experts say. The Sheffield University UK team says the best estimate for the yield is 500 tons of TNT equivalent, with a reasonable upper limit of 1.1 kilotons. This puts it at around 1/20th of the size of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima, Japan in 1945. An uncontrolled fire in an adjacent warehouse ignited 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate (AN), producing one of the most devastating blasts in recent history. The blast's supersonic pressure and heat wave claimed the lives of 220 people and injured more than 6,500 instantaneously, with severe damage to the nearby dense residential and commercial areas. The whole city was shaken by the blast, which began with a fire at the port, which exploded into a mushroom cloud. President Michael Owen said 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate had been stored unsafely in a warehouse for 6 years. Number 1. Halifax Explosion. Halifax Explosion, also called the Halifax Explosion of 1917 or the Great Halifax Explosion, was a devastating explosion on December 6, 1917 that occurred when a munitions ship blew up in the harbor of Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. Nearly 2,000 people died and some 9,000 were injured in the disaster, which flattened more than 1 square mile, 2.5 square kilometers, of the city of Halifax. The harbor at Nova Scotia comprises an inner basin able to accommodate more than 100 ships and invisible from the open ocean and from enemy submarines. The narrow entry passage is flanked by industrial and cargo handling facilities. In the First World War, as well as the Second, Halifax Harbor was a major venue for assembling convoys from America to Europe. Let us know your opinion in the comment section below. This is all for today. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay safe and we'll be back soon with another video.